Newsfirst, NEWSLINE with Faraz Shaukatali.
And a splendid morning to you. This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And it's all about country first. But there's only one thing apparently on the minds of everyone, and that's what's happening in Parliament and the constitutional crisis and so on. But it's all about something a bit more than that. And to discuss that is a member of the National Intellectual Organization, Attorney at Law, Harsha Nanayakkara is with us this morning. Very good morning to you, Mr. Nanayakkara.
Good morning, sir.
And clearly from a political family, Nanayakkara?
Oh, my uncle, yes.
Right.
Uncles,
everybody knows him. Everybody loves Vasudeva Nanayakkara. Now then, what does citizen Nanayakkara say? Don't we have enough laws and so on? Why is this country in a big mess? Why is the National Intellectual Organization coming to being? What has irked your conscience?
No, what has irked our conscience is partly social and partly political.
Right.
We kind of formed with a lot of university academics and interested people about good 1.5 years, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
In order to formulate certain policies which affects various aspects of social life.
Yeah.
We felt that the political parties that come into power don't have a long-term vision or a plan. They come up with some piecemeal activities for the 5 years they're in power, just so they will get elected again. But long-term solutions and proper solutions are not being forwarded because there's no research goes into the actual issues.
Right.
So our job is to find out the actual issues. We are divided into 10 committees, actual issues, and find a solution. And then ultimately to hand over this policy document to a broader political movement who will put country's interests first rather than their own personal party interests. So we are not a registered political party, but we are just a policy forming body, for lack of another word.
And everyone is doing this off their own steam.
Yes, it's
because of their conscience.
Definitely, because none of us get paid for any of the things we do or our transport or anything.
Yeah.
We kind of come together with using our own resources because we felt this is a citizen's duty. Because we have a situation where the politicians, regardless of parties, for years and end have been betraying the trust of the public, and especially if you look at the parliament now, the people who are going into the parliament, either they have absolutely no knowledge or qualification to be in the parliament, number one. Number two, even those who are with education, their heart is not at the right place to do the right thing. Just their party and how to stay in power. So we felt there was a need to come up with overall a policy framework that affecting daily lives of citizens, and then we can put it forward.
But because you mentioned Parliament and because you are a criminal lawyer, I'll just I know we don't want to get involved in what's before this, their lordships in the Supreme Court, but I want to ask you this. It's on everyone's mind. I have to ask you this, whether anyone likes it or not. What went on in Parliament the other day when we saw public property dismembered, right? And in the words of Mr. Nanayakkara, but he was talking about the Constitution, you can't be dismembering parts of the Constitution like they did to the unfortunate Jamal Khashoggi. And in the same way, that is what happened to a couple of chairs there, didn't it? One chair was dismembered and used as a sort of a de facto weapon. Now, where is the Public Property Act? Where is police action? Is police action not available within the well of the House? What's happening?
Now, to begin with, I mean, in every action of this nature, there's the legal side, which is completely unlawful, which I'll come to. The other side is the moral and the decency. Now, you saw when the police officers were entering the well of the Parliament, they have removed all their numbers and buttons and all the metal and everything.
Yes, why was that?
The reason is, when they're entering, they don't want even by accident a member of Parliament to be scratched by one of their numbers or metals or anything.
Oh.
That's the reason for it.
Oh, I see.
That's
I thought
the
they
reason.
were frightened that their numbers would be there and then they'll get transferred.
That is the level of reverence a appointed member of parliament is treated with.
Oh, I see.
So when they are being treated to that extent by the procedures and traditions of the parliament, the way they conducted themselves by throwing chili powder at them, beating them up, or breaking material.
Coca-Cola mixed with lemonade sometimes.
Now it's quite unfortunate that one of the ministers said that because it was on live TV and we saw the police officers getting treatment for their eyes. It was chili powder. Lemonade and Coca-Cola was not the case. The problem with some of our MPs is they do not know that these things are covered live. And then they come out and talk like babies. And quite unfortunately, media people are not asking the strong questions sometimes. We saw what happened.
So, well, I mean, look, that chair was dismembered and then used. So to me, it's a clear case of damaging public property.
Definitely.
So what's the action? Why isn't there no action taken?
Well, that's a question, because remember, whatever the privileges the parliament has or the immunities the MPs have, that is not against criminality. You commit a criminal offence, you have to be arrested and charged and followed with the procedure.
Yes, but now I read somewhere, I think yesterday or the day before, somebody saying that there is no complaint, so tough.
Well, there are two sides to this, because they are looking for a complaint, because ultimately when you have to file a case, right, you need a witness to say that. That's why they're looking for the first complaint. But then may I ask you a question? Now, if there's a dead body found on the road, are the police going to wait for a first complaint? Are they going to investigate and find out how she died if somebody has killed her? You don't need a first complaint to act if you find a dead body on the thing. So I would say the same thing should apply here. These offending MPs who damage public property, my problem is this: they even have the audacity to say, oh, the mic's only 1,500 rupees, so it can be fixed, not a big deal. Because not only it's unlawful, they should be charged with, but they don't even see the gravity of damaging public property. That's all about decency and morals of the public.
It's not about money.
It's not about money. It's not about money, but I do not want to mention names, but there was a particular MP who came and said, oh, it's about 3,000, 4,000 rupees, we can get it fixed, not a big problem. See how they're doing it.
Fix it then. They don't even do that.
What I'm trying to say is that right now the law and order minister is the president. So therefore it is pointless shouting at the anybody else.
But you know, this business about, don't you think as citizen Nanayakkara, this business about, we always look at the top and say, oh, well, you know, it's his baby, he didn't do anything. What about the officials whose task is to carry out and implement the law? What's the IGP doing? Why don't we come several rungs down the line and say, what's the IGP doing?
You know, I mean, Faraz, you and I both know this. That is, in this country, despite the law is supposed to be the same for everybody, it has been applied very differently in practice.
Selectively.
It's very selective. Sometimes it's very selective. So we have always seen the reluctance on the part of the law enforcement to carry out the full force of the law when the person involved is a powerful person. Now the IGP says, now this is why I'm saying, yes, we have to talk to the lower rung as to why they're not doing what they're doing. So let's take IGP or the other lower officers. Now, if they are not acting to do whatever they are doing, shouldn't it be the job of the boss at the top of the line to say, do your job?
Well, yes, but I'm looking at it in a wider picture.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I'm going to have to mention it, my favorite four-letter word, bond. In the bond, the Prime Minister was the minister in charge of the central bank, and he merely asked his mate, Mahendran, who had just happened to be the governor of the central bank, you know, make sure that your son-in-law divests his interests so that there be no conflict. That's all he said. But I'm not saying that, I'm only repeating what the Prime Minister said under oath at the Presidential Commission inquiry. Right? Now, what I'm saying is, you're a lawyer. Vikramasinghe, the Honourable Ranil, is a lawyer too. The most sensible thing for him to have done would have been to ask his secretary to double check on all that. That's all. That's all. And on another instance, he says that he met the young Aloysius at a party, and he said, oh, I'm concentrating on my other businesses, implying that he has divested himself. So the Prime Minister, who's trusted by the public, right, are supposed to believe that the Prime Minister had so much of faith in this young man that he didn't bother checking. And the loss of the country in the billions of rupees. Not me saying it, the court found out. The Auditor General saying it. So anyway, so what I'm trying to say is, we've got all these wonderful laws and so on, but it is applied selectively. If I was to walk now, there'd be a big joke with this, but anyway, if I was to walk outside and chuck some chili powder at the policeman who I think is still on Union Place, what do you think will happen to me?
Not only you would have been arrested for assault, you would be arrested for disturbing, obstructing the duties of a public officer. So it's a far more serious charge.
Right.
As I told you now, when you spoke about the bond thing, I would say this is the biggest reason why the current Ranil Wickremesinghe will not be able to stand on his legs when it comes to the next election. Because they came into power with a promise. Not only they will catch and prosecute those wrongdoers, but they will not do wrong things. But the biggest robbery in the history, I would call it the bond issue.
Well, it was so described in that commission by the Attorney General's Department.
Exactly, and also it's a recurring loss. I don't think although we put a 15 billion, 20 billion on it, it's a recurring loss because the bonds are going to run for 30 years.
30 years.
So for 30 years.
I'm glad that you, Citizen Nanayakkara, has picked up on this point. Because until I'm blue in my face, I'll be saying this. And people sometimes, unfortunately, take it too lightly. This has caused so much of trouble for the economy.
In fact, the previous government was corrupt, they had a lot of corrupt deals. I believe Ranil Wickremesinghe's government, on the 20th of February, not even a month into this, that's when the bond scam, the first issues and the things came up. So there's no more bigger betrayal of the public's mandate than that conduct. And still, we want the cases coming out. Now, even with this thing, but I mean, to just sum up very quickly, when that bond issue took place, our interest rates went from 9.2 to 11.2% immediately overnight.
That's right. That's right.
Whatever the loss is being passed on to the public by increasing the taxes on the hal massas we buy, or the potatoes we buy, or the Mobitel card. It has been passed on to the public. They steal the money, pass on the losses to the public. And this is the biggest mistake Ranil Wickremesinghe made, and I don't think it's even a mistake. One might even say the way he appointed Mr. Mahendran and defended him after that, it could even be premeditated.
Indeed.
It could be.
But you know, this I want to talk about not the incident, but what leads to this breakdown, you know, in Parliament, where these people deem it fit to break a chair, dismember the chair into pieces. I'm not talking about now the incident, but I want to know what is your take on what's the cause of all this?
Well,
what is the breakdown in somebody's whatever behavior to allow this to happen?
Now, on the one side, the power hunger. On the other side, none of these MPs went into the parliament by breaking the gates open. No. They were elected by the public. That is, people like you and I, we voted these people in. So, once you send some people in, and I don't want to mention names, there were mentions that some fellows have only studied up to grade 4 and he was a bus driver. There's nothing wrong with being a bus driver or studying up to grade 4. But
that's opportunity.
That's opportunity. And some of them were former illicit alcohol dealers who kind of poured the water on it, on the chair. Now, for them, being inside a parliament must be a nightmare, because how are they able to process all this complicated argument that is going on? So the only time they can effectively contribute would be when there's a bit of violence going on. So they must be enjoying it. I do not know. But that's unfair, because how can they, in their brains, process all these big arguments? Now, to be honest, this crisis was created by the president on the 26th night. There's no two words about it. Now, absolutely no problem if Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa has the 113. Come, show it and take it and go. But what they're doing right now, they're not allowing a vote to be taken even inside the parliament. Right? What I'm saying is that let the vote go. Both sides, none of the sides are innocent in this.
I was about to say, I think that one side, even though they're calling for no confidence motion, I don't think that side really wants the no confidence motion either. Because it has its own complications.
Well, basically, as I told you, I am not going to whitewash any of these two sides.
That's right.
Because both
That's
are
right.
equally morally culpable, if not legally at least. Right? Morally culpable. They try to create their majority by purchasing MPs for massive amounts of money. I am not saying this. President Maithripala is saying that. Right? Only Mr. S.B. Disanaka's phone call doing the rounds. But I'm sure the UMP would have also spent serious amounts of money to keep their members. Would have. I do not know.
Now then, on Newsline, we encourage you to send us your questions by SMS. By SMS, please, as opposed to WhatsApp. SMS, please, to 0772 300 305. And ahead of a trailer that I'm going to be playing for you, which News First has taken the initiative, and we want to drive that forward, and we've already started. I'm just going to read to you a couple of messages that I've just received just now. As a sad and weary citizen of this country, I implore the politicians to wait till the judgment on the 7th. What about the members who carried knives to Parliament? Are they above the law? I'll ask Mr. Nanayakkara that question in a moment. But I'd like to play you a little trailer, which hopefully will send this powerful message.
These are the political, economical and social problems in the country. Divide the classroom into two and hold a debate. This group to my right will speak for the topic and the group to my left will oppose the topic. Now, it is better if you do it the way they do it in the parliament, like the ruling party and the opposition. Use that.
Thank you. We hope to take this country forward for the midterm projects in the country. The people of this country are suffering.
Stop! I did not ask you to debate like how they would in parliament to start a fight. It was to build this country.
Think. Never vote them into parliament again. Our future and our children's future depends on it.
The voice of the voiceless, that's what we are. And News First, Team News First is championing this latest message because we want to put our country first. And to think, you know, this is all about thinking. As citizen Nanayakkara, do you think there's enough of thinking going on? Do you think people need to be reminded to think?
They have to be reminded to think, not along party political lines, not along with colored glasses. We must think alongside of what is right and wrong. The biggest problem this country is right now is that whenever the politician that you favor break the law, you don't pay much attention to it. But when the other side commits it, you have a big hue and cry about it. What's going to happen is that when we divide ourselves like that, we must be able to stand on what is right and wrong regardless of any other consideration. But right now, if you look at social media or other places, you can see people are dividing into two parties. That is not, this is the reason for the downfall. Because when we approve people breaking the law, we are giving a license to the politicians to break the law. This has been going on forever. We have to think, we have to change the way we think.
Shouldn't we be really thinking country first?
Of course.
That's what we need to think.
Country first, your neighbor first. Our job is not to make sure that a particular political party has a great time. Political parties are there to take our dreams to the future. We are not supposed to be their slaves or servants. They are supposed to be our servants. To carry our will, it should be the other way around. I mean, if we are crossing a river, they must be the boat that help us cross the river, the public. But what's happening right now is that we have looked at political parties as some form of demigods who are there to, we are there to please them.
That's what on our Gammada program we've discovered, that, you know, what you've just said, if you see, if we want to cross a river, the politicians should facilitate that.
The government must become the boat.
Yes. So in various instances around this country that our Team News First has been, we've discovered a whole veritable forgotten people who have been forgotten by government, because they lack the most basic facilities. And I am talking about, you just said that, but there was an instance where we went and they had to balance themselves off some pieces of a fallen tree to cross from one side to the other. And this included elderly people, children, and underneath was a little river. And, you know, of course we've sorted the problem out because we managed to get it all together and have a little bridge put there. But I'm only talking about one thing. There's so many like that. Lack of water and so on. Let's see here. This country can be developed only if we have strong leaders like the late Lee Kuan Yew or the current 93-year-old Prime Minister of Malaysia, Mahathir Mohamad.
Can I very quickly answer that?
Please.
Yes, Mahathir Mohamad good, Lee Kuan Yew good.
Yeah.
I mean, people talk about them all the time, saying we need people like that. They talk about Gandhi, they talk about Mandela.
But we had somebody like that too, you know.
What I'm saying is, they're gone now, sir. They're gone. It's our turn now. We have to be the Lee Kuan Yew. We have to be the Lee Kuan Yew. All the Siripalas, Gunapalas, you, me, we have to be the Lee Kuan Yews. Let's not wait and talk about the history. It's time for us to rise, not wait for some angel to come and save us. We, people, must think differently. Leaders will come. Leaders are not manufactured in factories or in aristocratic households. They come among the people with a cause. But we have to change the way we think. Unless we change the way we think, we'll never see when the leader comes forward. Because our image of a leader is different. We want them to be like, I don't know, Oxford educated, English speaking. That's not how leaders come. Leaders can come from all walks of life.
And there could be a bus driver.
Yes, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
But do we see it? We are not seeing it because our thinking process of what a leader ought to be, our image, in what we have created in our mind, that's how we look for a leader. They have to be able to speak well, they have to be able to, I don't know, a little bit of English, come in a bigger car, live in a bigger house, go to a better school. Leaders don't come like that. They can come with anything.
But and also leaders must be able to relate to the people.
Now that's a very good point. The biggest failure of the Ranil Wickremesinghe-led government is their inability to relate to the public. Inability to relate because their relationship, they do not understand the pulse of the people. Now, one of my friends were telling me about Gammadda. I also watched it a couple of times. I mean, he would have said it jokingly, but there's a truth in that. That is, he said, seriously, Gammadda had done more for people than this government has done in the last 3.5 years to uplift their lives. I mean, I'm sure he said it jokingly, but there's some truth in that. What I'm saying is, all this development we are talking about, what about the medicines for the people? What about, as you said, the roads, some basic things, basic stuff. We are talking about, I mean, of course we have to have bigger visions and bigger plans, but honestly I don't think Ranil Wickremesinghe's government had any economic plan except for leasing and selling out stuff to just buy a
selling the family silver.
It's like this. It's like a gambler who's into debt. He wakes up in the morning, no plan, decide, okay, I'll sell this to China today. I mean, where's the economic plan? He was supposed to be the best economic brain, but I honestly don't see that.
And its relevance, I'm going to mention it. Local government members watching
porn. I saw
porn.
That.
Isn't that wasting public money?
I mean,
I leave it to you to answer that question, right? Because
and again, I mean, why are they watching it inside the damn place? You know,
that's right. But it is. I would try to extend the Public Property Act with a bit of wide-angle lens and charge these people under the Public Property Act for wasting public property. Well, because the data is public. We pay for it.
Well, I mean, yeah, technically perhaps, but I will not stretch it. Knowing our courthouses and how laws are interpreted, I will not stretch it that much. But this is what I said. We are talking about the law all the time. Where's the decency and morals? Who sent these people to the parliament? If somebody asks me, oh, we don't know whom
Where's
to send
the honour?
Where's the honour? That's my question. Where is the honour? Where's the honour of the voter who continuously vote in these people? Where's the honour of the voter? These fellows, we know they have no honour. Where's the honour, the self-respect that you have to appoint these people?
Wasn't it George Orwell who said that if you keep voting for these people, you are an accomplice?
Perhaps he said it, but I do agree with the line completely. Simply, what I'm trying to say is this. As I earlier said, if people are asking, oh, all are thieves, what can we do? I mean, we have a big problem with our political parties.
Yeah.
They give nominations to a bunch of donkeys and expect us to choose horses from the list of donkeys they give.
Yeah.
This is the biggest problem we have. So we have to put pressure on these political parties to give nomination to the correct people or right people.
We've got so many messages today. Thank you. But look, to me, all the budding Sri Lankan leaders seem to be opportunists.
The lack of trust on the part of leaders of the public, I will not blame the public, because from the time we got independence, all we have seen are opportunists. That is because our society and culture have a thing for opportunists. When they come and speak nicely, we somehow give them the vote. Jolly well knowing, if you look at it, from independence up until now, there were two main parties now running government.
Yeah.
UMP coalition, UMP coalition, or SLP coalition.
Yeah.
If you really look at it, our country has been governed only by 5 families from the time we got independence.
Really?
Why, sir? The Nanayakkara family, the Dudleys and the DS, that was the Bothale Valawa, one family.
Yeah.
Then the Horogolla Valawa, that is SWRD, Cinema or Chandriya, that's about 15 to 20 years there. Right? And then, of course, JR and Ranil, the Kollupitiya clan, right? They ran it. So, yes, people are tired of politics, except for, I believe, Mr. Premadasa. Then, in the end, Madamulana Valawa for about another good 10 years. So, if you really look at our 70 years of history, what we have been independent for, it has been governed by just 5 families. And now you are complaining our politicians are opportunists.
When you mentioned Premadasa, I want to mention this. I took TV4 today, and obviously politics is the topic.
Of course.
Everybody talks politics. Sri Lankans love politics. I think they love politics just a notch lower than they love cricket. Right? And he said, look, sir, we need Premadasa. I said, really? Why? Oh, and then he gave me, I thought he was the PR man for Ranasinghe Premadasa, because he gave me a long list of things why the public love Premadasa. And I was just thinking to myself then that when times get bad, people hanker after the good times. That was in the past. And I think that they recognize that what Ranasinghe Premadasa did for us, for Sri Lanka, is yet to be surpassed. What he did for the people, really.
Well, yes,
he is a people's man, because he wasn't from this elite that you
now,
talk of.
Comparatively, I believe the UMP as well as by any other party, Premadasa was one man who actually felt the pain of the people.
That's right.
That is not to say that all he did was correct, and I agree in some certain actions, but definitely serving the poor is one of his priorities, I felt. Right? But there are certain aspects that I don't agree or cannot accept. But comparatively, yes, at least there has never been, when you look at the current leaders of the UMP, now Premadasa definitely knew what his public wanted and thought.
Yes. We'll have to finish with this one. What other option than to vote for those candidates put up by the parties? Now that's a good point, isn't it? Because the parties trot out the same old people again and again and again.
And this time around, I think there's a pipeline. You need to think differently, and a new political coalition must come into existence with progressive values, with honest people. I'm not talking about the coalitions these two main parties are from time to time color washing and putting before people. But liberal, balanced-minded, honest people must rally around. Now, the 6.2 million people who were betrayed, I believe, by Maithripala Sirisena, that's my opinion, need a rallying point. And I'm telling you the rallying point is not the UMP. Not the UMP. Although people may feel that's a rallying point.
Yes, and what is it?
The rallying point will come. It has to come from a completely different political coalition of people of like minds, and it has to be a different political movement. Because I firmly believe neither does the UMP policies, neither does this SLFP Pohuttua policies has taken our country forward. It is explained when you look at the history. I firmly believe that a brand new coalition of people will come, and that's the place people should be voting for. Something different, not the same thing, because policies have not changed, or they might change a leader. They might change the leader. It's like you will change the color of your car, but the engine doesn't change, the same dimension. So just changing the color won't do.
Harsha Nanayakkara, absolutely marvelous. Thank you very much for being a super duper guest on my program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much
and
for
that's
having
the way
me.
it was on Newsline. Before I finish, let me implore to you, think our country first. Take care. God bless.
News First, Newsline with Faraz.